So, my presentation is on the industry pipeline and the pipeline that the art travels down to basically become the final product that we see today. A lot of our art is, in my opinion, is unforeseen. A lot of people don't really realize how much goes into the art of making a movie or making a video game. And I hope that this video will portray some of that information, help get the point across and show people that there is a lot and there are a ton of steps that are involved with this. Now, the beginning of the industry and the beginning of the thought process of a movie all comes down to the concept and to the general idea of a movie. For instance, when George Lucas wanted to write Star Wars, he, pictured the idea. He probably picked and choose, uh, thoughts from other books and stuff that he has read, as well as other things that has brought influence for creating the movie Star Wars. Okay, so with that concept in mind, he started to figure out what he wanted to do is in an art direction sense. What he wanted the movie to look like, what he wanted it to feel like, and then at that point, he then pitched the idea and got approval for the movie. Okay. So a lot of people may think, what do we do now? We have this cool idea, which direction do we need to take it in? At that point, it comes into concepting, okay? Concepting is, drawing out what elements you want into the movie, what you want to be visually represented, as well as, what you wanted everything to look like. So at this point, the information is passed to the concept artists, they sketch out everything, figure out exactly what they want everything to look like before they either A, digitally create it because that's a time-taking process, or B, like in the sense of the movie Prometheus, they created the whole set of the back end of the Prometheus ship. Opposed to actually going in and doing that right away, they would concept it out and make sure that it's the right vision in Prometheus sense that Ridley Scott wanted. Okay. At that point, it then goes into the modeling aspect of the pipeline. Okay. Modeling is the creation of the objects that the concept artists have created. Okay. So at this point, modeling is taking a polygonal basis such as Maya and creating the assets in Maya, or taking it into ZBrush, which is a digital sculpting package that they've created, and basically creating the objects in 3D. Then that way they can move on to the pipeline and be either A, visually destroyed, or visually interpreted in a way that a realistic manner wouldn't be able to be appropriate, such as planes crashing into a building or spaceships. Obviously, they're not going to create that in real life. On to the next part is rigging. Okay, rigging is the aspect of creating the drivers for the actual 3D model. Okay, 3D modeling will allow the object to only go so far. With rigging, it allows you to create a structure that's going to drive it. So in a human, it would be of essence to creating the skeleton of the object. Okay. So while all of this is happening, other aspects of the pipeline are being introduced and used. Everything is kind of broken up and separated. So right now we're at the rigging standpoint. At that point, once the rig is done and everybody's happy with that part, it breaks down into the animation, how they want the character to move, such as Gollum, for example, how they wanted his expression and everything. All that's driven in the animation part of it, and that is done through the rig. And obviously Gollum was a 3D model. So now you can see where they're all coming into relation. At that point, it then goes on to texturing. Texturing is, of essence, unwrapping something and being able to paint colors onto it. It's the cool part of it. It really brings detail and life to the object. Once we get through the texturing part, well, in the 3D world, there's no lights, so we need to replicate that. By replicating that, we use a variance of lighting techniques, whether it's using a real-world sky or using HDR lighting. High dynamic range images produce the light within the scene. It helps draw it and make it look more realistic. That's several aspects that are taken into account, and that all goes back to the concept of what the director had in mind of what he wanted it to look like. That's when, at that point, lighting is basically the almost end part. It's finalizing the scene to the sense. Okay. At that point, it then goes on to compositing. Compositing compiles all of the 3D assets together into real live footage, such as a player running across a basketball court and a T-Rex chasing after him. Obviously, the T-Rex is 3D, and the basketball court and the person are real. So how do you implement those two together? Well, that's done through compositing. Compositing is the sense of combining 3D elements with live action elements, or even in the place of photos. A lot of people have done compositing. You do it in Photoshop every day. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you have a better sense of what goes into the art of making a movie as well as the industry production pipeline. Thank you.